his face drawn more tightly than he would have liked. "Do you have any questions?" Ethan asked. "What can I tell you about how this would work?" Gabe's mind was frozen. He'd lost the ability to process language. "Think about it. I know it's a lot to absorb." Ethan stood up and kissed the top of Gabe's head. "I'm going to go do a little work." He disappeared into the kitchen, where Gabe heard him putting water in the kettle, readying mugs for tea. Gabe sat at their dining room table, still and silent, panicking. He took off his glasses to polish away a smudge with his shirt and rubbed until one of the lenses popped out in his hand. 2. Nicole was standing in her kitchen making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for her kids. One required crunchy peanut butter and the other smooth. One liked orange marmalade and the other raspberry jam. Not even the bread was the same. She was battling with the lid of the crunchy jar when she heard a familiar voice coming from the television. "The governor did say that, but I haven't found any record of it happening," said the woman on TV. "He's a real challenge to cover." Nicole startled and felt the jar slip from her hand. It dropped onto the cold tile of her kitchen floor, cracking the foundation of her daughter's lunch into shards of glass suspended in goo. She took the lonely top of the peanut butter jar with her into the next room, stepping carefully over her mess with bare feet. She couldn't possibly recognize that voice after so long, she thought. It had easily been 15 years. But she did. Nicole arrived in front of the television to find Kate Keller staring back at her from the global satellite news network, opposite a morning anchor with his serious face on. Kate Keller. Her hair was different, shorter now, hitting just below her chin, and the intervening years had left her with a more angular face, sharper cheekbones. But it was her, beaming into Nicole's living room, fucking up her morning. "What was that?" Austin asked as he trotted down the stairs, fastening the final buttons on his shirt. She pulled her eyes away from the TV and tried to make them focus on her husband. What had he just said? He tried again. "Hey, you okay?" "What?" "Yeah, I broke one of those glass jars of peanut butter," she said. She looked down and saw that she'd trailed dribbles of oil in from the kitchen. "Why don't you just buy Jif?" He slid past her to rejoin the mug of coffee he'd left in the living room. He took a sip and dropped onto the couch to put on his leather Oxfords. What do I do? Nicole thought. What would I normally do? Normally, she would rush back to the kitchen before the kids tracked peanut butter all over the house. But normally, a woman she'd repeatedly seen naked wasn't on TV in her living room. Austin looked at Kate Keller over his coffee mug, and Nicole felt herself stop breathing. Then he found a spot on his khakis and started scratching at it with his fingernail. "He repeats misinformation so many times that people start believing it," Kate told Nicole's husband, as the morning anchor nodded along. "We can't be a conduit for that." The last time Nicole saw Kate, they had staggered through a near-silent breakfast, hangovers blazing, at a diner on 9th Avenue in Manhattan. It was the kind of place that was once everywhere in New York City, with pleather booths and 6-page menus, where the bacon was almost liquid with grease, and the coffee tasted faintly of a house fire. Nicole and Kate had known one another for years at that point, and they had clawed each other's clothes off the night before. But over eggs and toast that morning, as conversations ricocheted fast and loud around them, they could think of nothing to say. They chewed mostly in silence, dropping occasional observations about their breakfast or the topography of their headaches. They couldn't find a rhythm, and maybe were too tired to really try. Nicole was relieved when the check materialized before they'd finished their food. Outside on the street, they hovered opposite one another awkwardly before Nicole moved in for a quick kiss, touching their lips lifelessly together. She pulled back again before Kate could reciprocate. They said they'd talk soon, which they didn't, and turned away. "We're forced to become filters in a way a lot of journalists really aren't comfortable doing," Kate said from the TV screen. "It scares us to say that someone is lying." 3. Kate always dreaded doing TV. She was afraid her nerves would make her slow on her feet, or that she'd misspeak.